Hello, sanibonani babukeli. We are back live no hlelo lenu Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. We're coming to you live khona la kumamba phambili phela SABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Lona ke ubona yena ngempela kakashintshi nje uMajalu Alisha uNhlanhla amagama ami lawo. Email us consumer@sabc.co.za or 011-714-0669, alternatively 011-714-0670. We're also available on Twitter and on Facebook. Okay, mbukeli asingena odabeni lethu namhlanje ke abathengi babhekene nesimo esinzima sama interest rates lawo esiqeda ukubona ukuthi ahlale ekhuphuka kulezi inyanga mbukeli. Lokhu ke kuletha isimo esenza ukuthi abathengi bathwale kanzima ekukhokheni izikweletu zabo ama home loan. Kanti ke mbukeli abangakwazi abathengi yebo nini ningakwazi ukuthi phela uyakwazi ukukhulumisana nebhange lakho ukuthi phela ukwazi ukukhokha imali eyinani elehlile ukuze phela uzokwazi ukuthi uqhubeke ukumelana nokukhokhela isikweletu sakho sendlu. Yes mbukeli, many consumers are unaware that they can actually renegotiate lowered interest rates on their home loans. All right, in order to cushion themselves from the rapid interest rate hikes that have hit consumers recently. All right, mbukeli ke namhlanje ukukhuluma kabanzi ngodaba lethu lama home loans nokuthi how do you then go and negotiate a lower interest for wena. Let's welcome from our Cape Town studios nike nambona before Mr. Mayor Duval, who is a conveyancer, and of course here in studio we have Dr. Madigizela, Dr. Simphiwe Madigizela rather, omele FNB Home Loan Division. Let's start in Cape Town. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Duval, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show once again.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
Welcome, sir. Gqirha studio. Kunjani nsizwa?
Siyabulela kakhulu Nkosi,
Usubuyile futhi.
Senibuyile kwakhona.
Usubuyile usiphatheleni namhlanje
Dr. Ndibetha nibuyelela inkosi izulu lasemthatha. Uphethe indaba ezimnandi namhlanje.
Uphethe indaba ezimnandi Doctor. Doctor, we're talking about amalokhuzana. I think we had a similar topic, but that time, the last time we spoke, besikhuluma ngofleece ukuthi izinto sizilungisa kanjani. Maybe let's start here, and I also want Mr. Duval to weigh in on this. Yeah. Interest rates, repo rates, they've gone up drastically recently. How does this then directly affect ama home loans abantu? Mesikhuluma ngokuthi interest rate inyukile gqirha. I-affecta kanjani home loan yami? Nginendlu ya 300 to 500,000 and above. How is it affecting me? Why should I be worried ngayo?
Siyabulela kakhulu, masibulise kuba bonke ababukele. Umbuzo wakho mhle kakhulu ndiyawuthanda. Xa ngaba i-interest rate la mali ezalayo inzala ethi ichazwe yi-Reserve Bank ukuthi inyukile. So xa inyukile ithetha ukuthi lonto imali ozoyibhatala ngenyanga izawunyuka nayo. Njengoba besibona ukuthi phakathi kule nyanga September siye zanyuswa interest rates, zinyuswa nge-75 basis points. Bezingaqali nangoJuly bezinyusiwe kwange-75.
This past year, Doctor, kwenzakalani?
Ziyanyuka kakhulu, zisezawuqhubeka zinyuka futhi kwakhona ngoNovember zizonyuka, siyaqikelela ukuthi izawunyuka nge-50 basis points. So ithetha uthini lonto umbuzo wakho? Xa ngaba inyuswa la mali ithetha ukuthi uzobhatala more. Imali ozoyibhatala ngenyanga izonyuka. So ithetha ukuthi izaba khona ipressure kuwe njengomuntu onendlu onemoto. Wonke umuntu oboleke imali, lonke uhlobo lemali ebolekiweyo, izindlu, imoto, uzobhatala more xa ngaba zinyuswa i-interest rates.
So kumele ngempela abantu bayinake mekuthiwa i-Reserve Bank iyawanyusa ngempela lama interest rates because it directly affects amalokhuzana ama repayments wabo. Mayor, let's talk about this. I mean, maybe take us through the current legislation on loan renegotiation as well as review, because I feel like, and I've also seen on research, it seems like banks are not as forthcoming with this information. At the same time, consumers, most of them, even the homeowners, they're not even aware that there's such options available to them.
Well, indeed, that is my big problem. If you have a car that you insure, let's say you start the car with a 500,000 Rand insurance. Every year, your insurance value needs to go down because the value of your car goes down. So you're going to be very upset with your insurance broker if I don't reduce your premium on your car. Now I'm asking the question is that when the bank initially scores you on a home loan, they look at your credit rating, they look at your affordability, and they also look at your loan to value. They are the three main criteria to score a home buyer. And if a bank feels a little bit nervous about the credit score and the affordability and also the loan to value, that you don't have a deposit, the bank will load your interest rate maybe with prime plus 1. We often see prime plus 2. Now that is a big problem for me. So few years down the line, your property value has increased. Your property you bought for 600,000 Rand is now worth 750. Your credit score has gone up, and your affordability, it means that you earn more money. But my problem with the banks are that they actually keep silent and they don't come to the consumer and say, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, you are now in a better situation. You are not a risk for the bank anymore as the time when you applied for a home loan. And I would like to give you, as a valuable customer, I would like to give you a better home loan rate. No, the bank stays quiet about that. They, contrary to the insurance broker, where they keep quiet about that you are now a better client, you've got a better scorecard. And in my view, this is where the banks actually need to come back and inform the client that I want to review your home loan rate, and I want to offer you a better rate, because you can save thousands and thousands of rands. And that's my problem that I want to discuss today. And I want to ask the banks, why don't they go out and be forthcoming, as you said, to assist clients with a better scorecard, affordability, and loan to value.
Thank you for that, Mr. Deval. Doctor, why are you guys so sneaky? Why are you not forthcoming with information? Because we are regarded as such good customers. We've been paying our bonds on time. Everything is looking good. Why aren't you then saying, looking at the current economical climate, so like Mayor is saying, like, why don't you, take the initiative and say, guys, especially the ones whose loans are up to date, who haven't had issues with them, why don't you come? We've got something for you to review.
Yes. No, ndiyavumelana kakhulu naye. Masiqale apha into ebalulekileyo i-education ne babafundiswa abantu. Xa ngaba uthenga indlu sine comprehensive borrower education, sine home comprehensive cover lapha apho sifundisa kakhulu ngendaba yendlu ukuthi zihamba njani izinto. So kukhona i-variable rate qala ne kube khona ne-fixed rate. So xa ngaba sisenza i-education sikufundisa sithatha through i-code le information siyichaze. Kodwa ke siyaqhubeka into yobana sithethe ne-customers zethu xa kutshintshayo i-rate inyuka siyathetha ne-customers zethu uba i-rate izawutshintsha itshintshwa i-Reserve Bank. So i-education yebalulekileyo. Into efuneka ndiyicacise apha yile into angayichaziyo ubaba uDeval, ndiyavumelana naye. Uba kwenzekile ukuthi njengoba uyi-customer uyawaqhubeka waphinde wathatha amanye amatyala wenza ezinye izikweleti.
Other loans on top of the home loan.
Yes. Yeah. Into esijonga xa senza i-rate sijonga i-credit profile yakho.
Okay.
Yiyo informa i-rate.
Okay.
Sijonga i-credit profile yakho, ukhulume nge-score sakho ukuthi si-right. Sijonge i-profile yakho ukuthi okay, i-profile yakho sibona le risk kuwe sikunike i-rate. Uyaqonda? Xa uqalayo. Now, if akhange uthatha amanye amatyala a-extra and wacontinuisha waqhubeka ukuthi umanager i-finances zakho kakuhle awungeni ezikweletini, unelungelo ba uze bank ucela ukuthi i-rate yakho siyitshintshe. Khumbula ungayitshintsha i-rate usuke kwi-variable, i-variable itshintshayo qho inyuke okanye yehle okanye uthathe i-fixed le imileyo. Kanti nalapha kwi-variable ungahla lapha kwi-variable uthi ngokwi-bank i-rate yami uthethe ngo-prime plus 1, masenze umzekelo prime plus 1. I-prime ngoku ngu-9.75%. I-prime njengoba sikhulu sithetha ngoku.
But mina Dr. ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi why ningabatshela abantu.
Siyabatshela kwi-borrower education.
Why don't you remind them after 10 years of having that loan?
Kwi-letters zethu siyayenza education kakhulu eninzi. Mangaba ubukela eziradiweni kunomathotholo mawubukela i-education esiyenzayo Mawuyapha ku-FNB app umzekelo ne sine-education sine-program ekuthiwa fundaba. Fundaba uyafundiswa ngayo yonke into zebusiness yonke into ungaya ngonithethayo ujonge ufundaba pha kwi-app uzofumana ulwazi oluninzi information eninzi nangebusiness ngayo yonke into. So siyabakhuthaza i-customers zethu ukuthi mabaze kuthi kwibhenki bathethe nathi si-review interest rate yabo bavumelekile.
Okay, yes, Ugqirha makes it all seem like everything is easy, but you are sitting here telling me that these banks abafuni ukunikeza this information. We're back shortly after this break. Mbukela ungayindawo. Welcome back. Sezivuliwe-ke manje izingcingo ungasishayela la studio 0117140669 noma 0117140670. Those numbers again 7140669 noma 7140670. My studio guest today Dr. Simphiwe Madikizela ovela FNB Home Division alongside Mr. Mayor Deval, who's a conveyancing specialist. He's joining us from our Cape Town studios. Now, Mr. Deval, we were having this beautiful chat off air during the ad break, and you said some very valid points in account to what the doctor was saying, because I think you and I both know you're the conveyancer. So when the consumers have a problem, you know exactly how to deal with those issues. So maybe just give us your insight as well on that point when it comes to home loan owner education or consumer education around taking those home loans and the rights that they do have.
If we look at South Africa, about 55% of buyers are first-time buyers. Yes. So they never had the opportunity of a parent or anybody educating them how to buy a house. So what the banks have done, and I was involved in those programs, I helped some of the banks to write these programs on consumer education. And what they do is that they approve your home loan. You either go to a bond originating or a mortgage originator, or you go directly to the bank. And then you fight with a bank, and the bank fights with your information, and after a couple of days, they have approved your home loan. Then they present a document to you and say, this is your home loan rate. And now you look, okay, if you work with a consultant, that consultant can maybe fight for you for a better rate. But normally you are so glad to get this home loan that you accept the rate because you don't know better. Now they ask you, if you earn under 25,000 Rand, roughly, and you're a first-time buyer, you must attend a workshop to attend borrower's education. And my feeling is that the banks are doing just to wash their hands. They just want to say, I educated this person, he knows everything about home ownership education. Some of them present it in workshops where you go on a Saturday morning, you attend the workshop, and when the people walk out there, their heads are so full of information, confused. And as I said, 75% of them said, I wish I had this information before I started buying the house. Because now it's too late. In Afrikaans, we say, die koel is deur die kerk. So it's too late now. You've got the home loan, you don't want to walk away. Even when clients come to sign with me, they sign the document for the home loan, and I say, woo, look at your interest rate. Do you know how much you're going to pay the bank? Then they want to get out of a home loan. I said, no, let's not stop this home loan. But I want to help you. I want to guide you that after this home loan, we make sure that your credit score improves, because this Dr. Madikizela mentioned now your credit score. I want to help you to improve your credit score. That's the first thing the bank will look at. And I want to help you to improve your income. And I want you to improve the value of your property. If those three pillars of a home loan are strong, I feel you can go 2 years later to the bank and say, hey, I don't like this home loan interest rate anymore. I want to reduce my home loan interest rate, and I would like you as the bank to honor me as a valuable customer.
Yes. Very interesting, Mayor. And while we're on that point, I mean, maybe take us through the fixed rate option, because then there's no way that they can go back to you and say, well, we want to get out of this contract or we want to renegotiate. Am I interpreting this correctly?
It's more expensive though.
Sorry, you mentioned the 6 what?
With a fixed interest rate in terms of the home loan.
Oh, fixed interest rate. Okay.
More expensive.
First-time buyers are nervous that if there's an increase in the home loan rate, that we won't be able to pay it. So they are often guided that rather apply for a year or two fixed interest rate, because if the interest rate goes up, then you won't be hurt with that interest rate. I did it myself many years ago when I bought the first property. But when you fix your rate, you can ask the doctor, they'll definitely add 1 or 1.5% on top of prime. So you anyway pay a premium for that. So often I tell a client, you've got to weigh it out if you really want to fix it, because the bank is going to charge you more interest rate. So the question is it a good thing to fix your rate or not? We anticipate maybe another interest rate in January. So the question is, do I fix my rate or I just bite the bullet? Because it appears now that interest rates are going up and they are not coming down. So it's a gamble, and we don't know what gamble to take. For a first-time buyer, if you want to make sure that you pay a certain amount for the next 2 years, and you accommodated that my interest rate is higher, then you can maybe fix your rate. And maybe after the 2 years, your interest rate can drop down again to prime or what is a better rate. But I'm talking with a bank from day one, starts to load your interest rate with prime +1, +2. And for 20 years, they don't ask you or tell you that you can drop that interest rate. I'm not talking about a fixed rate. I'm talking about a variable rate. And that, for me, is the big injustice that we've done for home buyers or home owners. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Wow, that is so eye-opening,
articulated,
very,
yes.
very well articulated, Doctor. And I think abantu abaningi
Abayazi le
abayazi leyo nto.
information,
But maybe just go siqhubeke ngaleyo point igqirha. Khawuqala lapha ne uba zintoni ke ngoku zezi mitigating conditions ukuba you can actually go and approach ibhank uba ndicela uba si-reviewe okanye si-renegotiate inantsika. What are those mitigating factors and conditions that will then zingivumela uba ndiye phaa ndiyo-approach ibhank?
Yes, azikho i-conditions, wonke umuntu uvumelekile ukuthi
It's part of umthetho ohamba nayo
wonke
umuntu one-home loan.
Yes,
Okay.
So masithethe nge-variable rate, maybe ukuthatsha kancinci kule nto beyithetha. I-fixed rate i-more expensive.
Yeah. Because ihlala endaweni eyi-1, it's not affected by ama-interest rates afluctuatayo. Okay.
Yes, it's 2% higher. So ndiyakhumbula last time sasithethe ngayo ukuthi i-more expensive.
Yes.
So masithethe nge-variable rate.
Okay.
Le ngekho expensive.
Okay.
Now, indlu, investment, i-value yendlu appreciate. So emveni kwe-2-3 years ungaza uzojonga i-rate yakho ukuthi si-reviewe.
Every 2 years, 2 to 3 years.
You can come anytime. You don't have to wait for 2 years, even 18 months, even after a year.
Oh, okay.
Because if komeka kuba uthenga kwindawo enjani na, andithi i-value yendlu iyaappreciate, iyenyuka kufana nemoto. Besithethe ngemoto earlier.
Yes, yeah.
So xa uthenga kwindawo right, kukho i-development eqhubekayo around that area, izikolo, i-shopping center nentoni. So i-value iyanyuka ngokukhawuleza. Yes. So anytime, nanini na, wonke umuntu uvumelekile ukuthi angaza ukuthi athethe nathi ukuthi ndicela nijonge i-rate yam, yaqonda si-reviewe i-rate yam.
Okay.
Yeah, ibingu-prime +1 before sijonge uba ngeke siyithobe na.
Okay.
Zibalulekile into ezi-2 xa ujonga i-rate, ujonga i-risk ye-customer, i-credit profile ukuthi i-finances, imali zakho ziphethe kanjani.
Ume kahle, uyabhadala amatyala akhe on time.
Yeah, and must be practical ngale nto. Abantu abaninzi abaqala uthenga izindlu, umuntu uzawuthenga indlu, kufuneka abe ne-furniture kule ndlu, athenge i-furniture for le ndlu. Kukho i-insurance for indlu. Kukho i-rates nee-taxes kamasipala.
Kukho abantwana.
Kukho ukutya nabantwana nentoni, uqala ifamily yaqona. So ndizama uthi
Khawuyibambe apho gqirha. I want to take our first caller, uSis Nomsa, all the way from East London. Sis Nomsa, sakwamukela ohlelweni ntokazi, singakunceda njani today?
Molweni njani?
Siphilile Sis Nomsa, unjani wena?
Siyaphila nami.
Siphilile ma.
Ngicela ubuza ne. Le nto yokwehlisa interest rate, is it only for i-home loan okanye nakwimoto ungayenza?
Oh, okay sisi wami, siyakuva Sis Nomsa, siza kuphendula emva kwekhefu, yeva ntombi?
Okay, this is on.
Okay, mama, siyabulela. Mbukeli, now you can call us up at studio, consumer@sabc.co.za. The numbers are on screen or coming up on screen. Siyabuemva kwaleli kefi. Don't go anywhere. We're talking about reviewing as well as renegotiating i-interest rate ye loan yakho yendlu mbukeli. We're coming back shortly after this. Welcome back. You're watching Yilungelo Lakho live on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Mina ngumajali 0117140669 or 7140670. Consume at sabc.co.za. Siyatholakala on Facebook as well as on Twitter. My guest today, Mr. Mayor Deval, who's a conveyancing specialist, is joining us from our Cape Town studios. And of course, Dr. Simphiwe Matikizela uvela ke yena FNB Home Loan Divisions. Sikhuluma mbukeli ngokuthi how do you then uhambe uyokhuluma nebhangi yakho ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi behlise le interest ekhokhwayo kwi home loan yakho. Usisile uNomsa ubuzile from East London wabuza before the ad break. Mayor, Sis Nomsa was basically asking, when you talk about renegotiating in this regard, is it just only applicable to home loans and cars? Do you want to take that answer quickly, Mr. Deval? So she wants to know, is this option also available for cars and other loans?
Yes, I would focus today only on houses.
Yeah.
Because remember the value, and this is my whole argument, the value of your house goes up where the value of your car goes down. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's an asset that grows, and a car is an asset that depreciates. So I would rather focus for the discussion. I can't give myself out as an expert on vehicle finance, but I would like to focus on property, because property value normally increases. And the nice thing about property is that you can actually pull a report from a company, let's say called Lightstone, where you can compare the value when you bought the property 5 years ago, and you can compare the value if it has grown up. With a car, I can guarantee, I'm not a specialist, that the value of a car has gone down.
Oh, yeah.
So for a house, you're on the best position because you can pull a valuation, you can get an estate agent or two to give you a valuation. You can pull a Lightstone report, not that I'm selling their business, but you can get these types of valuations on your property. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the bank and say, look at my property, how it's grown. You must give me a better interest rate. My credit score is strong. My affordability is strong. Yeah. Give me a better interest rate. If you don't do that, I'm going to switch to another bank because you are not loyal to me. And that is my discussion today. So I would rather focus on property finance and not vehicle finance.
Thank you so much. Sis Nomsa, uyezwa ke ntokazi ukuthi kuyasho ukuthi iyenzeka ungahamba uyonegotiate for yonke iloan onayo, but namhlanje thina sifocus endlini, especially ngoba indlu iyinto enyukayo ngokwe value yemali. So doctor, what if then your bank refuses ukuthi they want to either renegotiate or review ilokhuzana your current loan oyibhadalayo yendlu? What would be the conditions where a bank would then refuse? Siyakubona kwe credit record okanye ama payments are missed okanye i-risk obuthetha ngayo, but khawungene into detail apho.
Yeah, it's unlikely akulindelekanga into yobana ibhanki ingala.
Okay.
Akukuziba semthethweni ukuthi ibhanki yale.
Okay.
So xa ngaba ucela ibhanki ukuthi i-review i-rate yakho, kumele ibhanki ikumamele as a customer.
Okay.
I-customer ine-voice.
And they're always right.
Yes, and the customer must khumbula ukuthi customer ine-options.
Yes.
Une-choices. So xa uze phaa kulaa mzi ndivela kuwo bese uchaziwe, kumele thina singulaa mzi sivuye into uba uze kuthi, kuba ubungaya kummelwane, ubungaya next door, ubungaya kwenye ibhanki, akho phela kwethu ibhanki ekhoyo. So xa uze kuthi uthetha nathi uyi-customer yethu, siyamamela. Kumele sikumamele, ibhanki zonke kumele zimamele ukuthi nansi customer iyacela, sijonge ke ngokuthi okay uyabhadala kakuhle, awukho semva, sijonge ukuthi awukho sematyaleni, sijonge ukuthi you've been a good customer and ne value property yakho inyukile. Siyakwazi ukuthi siku-accommodate.
But I mean, let's talk about those that are not in good credit standing because of, let's look from COVID, where jobs were affected, income was severely affected and so forth.
Yeah.
How do you then put those people in the same bracket as your good customers? These were good customers up before COVID, and then COVID happened. And then now they want to come and renegotiate. I mean, we did a whole show on payment holidays that banks were actually offering to their customers. So why can't then a bank look, particularly in cases where they're not in good credit standing and so forth, but these people, they've got valuable and valid reasons as to why. And you can see it didn't just happen overnight. It wasn't a linear thing.
circumstances
Exactly,
over
it was
their
the
control.
circumstances. And the
Yes.
reason why they want to negotiate their
because they're
loan
under
is
pressure.
because they're under pressure.
Yes,
So
yes. Yeah.
what kind of advice would you give
Yes.
them? Because I'm sure abantu ababukayo manje at home, they're probably saying, I can only go for a review or renegotiate if only I'm on good credit
Yes.
standing
Yeah.
and all my debts and everything, my
Yeah.
installments are up to date.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that the message that you're saying, that you're giving out to our consumers
imessage
today?
yami umyalezo wami ulula njengoba ndidla ngokutsho qho every time ndilapha izani ebhenki nithethe nathi ibhanka ayilumi ebhankini kukho abantu abanjengam abangalumiyo so noba usematyaleni yiza uthethe nathi sijonge imeko yakho sibone ukuthi singakulungisela kanjani singakaccommodate kanjani akakho umuntu esimvala ngaphandle.
Oh, Gqirha, you will say that. Let me take a caller quickly. Anonymous all the way from Polokwane. Thank you so much for joining us. Yilungelo Lakho, singakusiza kanjani today?
Good afternoon, and thanks very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Welcome. Please go ahead.
Okay, Dr. Uyakoka, makabe honest, because what they do, let's say now, my bond is up to date, I'm paying it up to date, and the car is up to date, but my credit profile is not worthy.
Yeah.
That's where I get penalized, because then I don't get to get the renegotiation because they're saying that I am not paying the other creditors well. And when I go to them, they then say to me, your credit score is bad.
Okay.
So then I get penalized based on that. So really, it's not fair because if bond nemoto, it's paid. It's been paid. It's up to date. So what then? We end up having to suffer for the consequences, and we are afraid to even go back to the bank because they are going to reject you or based on that.
Thank you so much, Anonymous. Very quickly, Mayor, do you want to jump in there very quickly? She's basically saying the very same thing I was asking the doctor. She says you'll find that you've been paying your installments and everything, but then some situation like, something that you couldn't avoid happened. And then you find yourself in a bind where you cannot keep up with your installments and so forth, but you still want to go and renegotiate so that you're still keeping this relationship you have with the bank going. But the banks just simply refuse. So she's asking, like, why are we then investing there? Because we're not even going to go back because we know the bank has a blueprint. If your credit score is lower than this, we're just going to automatically disqualify you.
I agree with Dr. V and the bank's policy. The problem lies is that we've got the National Credit Act. And if anybody extends credit to a person that shows that they couldn't pay their credit in the past, it would most likely contravene the rules of risky lending. And a loan to such a person would demonstrate, I'm giving you money, but you can't pay it, and therefore your track history is not so good. And the propensity of a client is not so good. So it's a very difficult situation. You find a person with good value in property, maybe the bond is even paid up half, but they can't access that property of theirs to actually consolidate their debt. There are, however, services where one can look at, it's not a quick fix. You need to take this step by step by step to improve your credit score. And people can have a discussion about that, how to start this. We can have a real discussion just to improve credit score. And even I would suggest this is where the bank needs to step in with consumer education.
Absolutely.
Because they started consumer education when you got the bond. But you need to hold the hand. Every time it's almost like you're ill. Let me go to the doctor. He'll give me some medicine and education for a cough or maybe for high blood pressure. And we need to constantly educate the consumers on these things because everybody fell into difficult times during COVID. Nobody in South Africa was not touched. And we need to look at the scorecard. And unfortunately, the scorecards that the banks apply are all the same formula. There's a lot of reading one can do on how to apply different scorecards. We're not going to go into that today. But I think the problem lies with banks' that their hands are tied, that they can't extend credit to a person who indicates it's a risky loan. And that's a problem. But there ought to be new discussions in how to help people, particularly when you have an asset, but you've got to prove affordability as well. And that is the problem where the banks their hands are tied, and I understand their policy in that regard.
Very interesting, Mayor. I mean, I think I was listening to a story on a radio station. Somebody, I think the guy had bought a 3 or 5 million rand house. The bank literally couldn't pay. I think he missed 2 or 3 installments. The bank literally auctioned it off for 300,000. This house is worth over 5 million. And the guy was literally just about to pay off his house. And they were not budging on the renegotiation. So I think really ama discussions, Doctor, kumele a review. All right, let's take Sis Gloria from Esiabuswa. Sis Gloria, siyabonga ukuthi uhlale kuline intokazi siyakwamukela ohlelweni singakusiza kanjani namhlanje?
I just have 2 questions for the prof there, or doctor.
Yes, go ahead.
My first question is, if you're going to the bank to renegotiate for your interest rate, is there a reasonable rate that you can negotiate?
Okay.
Or you just go there blank. I'm asking this because most of the people have bonds and they don't even know how much rate they're paying.
Yeah.
And the second question is, I'll refer this to FNB, but it's for all the banks. The banks, they've got our credit records and they know their customers very well.
Yes.
Why don't they approach their customers when these interest rates are going down? Say, when they look at the profile, they say, this customer looks to be in a very good standing.
Yes.
Why don't we offer them? I say, hey, so-and-so, do you mind coming and renegotiate your interest rate?
Yeah.
We have just seen that you have got a very good credit profile. I'm saying this because banks are just monster things that really, it's very scary to go in those institutions, because first of all, when you go in there, you don't even know what to say or who to approach. And the next thing they'll tell you, go and do this on the app.
True, Gloria. Siyabonga, Sis Gloria, thank you so much. And Dr. Matikizela will sit here and be like, no, but wozani, sizonsiza. But the reality is when you go to some banks and other places looking for assistance, you just simply not going to get the type of assistance and information that you are seeking. And you're literally going to run out of there. You're going to come out more confused than when you went in. We're back shortly after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back live with Yilungelo Lakho 011-714-0670. Those are the numbers ongasfonela ngazo estudio. The other number 714-0669, consumer@sabc.co.za. Sikhuluma mbukeli about how consumers can renegotiate or review their home loan interest rates with banks in order to have an affordable outcome. Khona uzokwazi ukuthi ube ne-extra cash at the end of that month. So ungasfonela la estudio. I'm still with Mr. Mayor Deval, who's a conveyancer. He's joining us from Cape Town, and live studio Dr. Simphiwe Madikizela from FNB. All right, gentlemen, 2 questions. Mr. Deval, let's start with you. Which one do you want from these 2 questions? She says, Glorious is asking, when you go to renegotiate for your rate, do you go in with a specific number in head, or you just go in blank at the bank? Because at this stage, you don't know what you're going to ask. Mr. Deval. So she wants to know, do you go in blank, or you try and calculate a specific interest that you're going to take to your bank? How should one do it?
Number one, you first got to understand what is your current interest rate, because maybe it's prime plus 1, prime plus 2. Then you must understand what is the current prime interest rate, and as Doctor said, it's 9.75. So you would like to negotiate anything that is very close to 9.75. So that is your vision and your plan, to negotiate as close as possible to prime. And if you can get away with, or not get away, but if you can negotiate prime less 0.5, then you are in a very good situation in my view. So, but you need to arm yourself with the right ammunition: good credit score, good affordability, and good value of a property. If you are with all those pillars, as I said earlier, my view is that the bank ought not to refuse you. And if your bank refuses you, go to another bank and apply there as well, because you already have your home loan. No bank is going to pull the home loan underneath you. Then you have two different banks where you can compare. This bank gives me this gives me this.
Yeah.
And remember, it's a free service that the bank offers you. And now you go to your bank and say, I really tried to talk to you. I tried to show a good case to you why you must give me a good rate. You don't want to be loyal to me. Unfortunately, I have to switch my bank. I did the calculations that 2% over prime on an 800,000 rand bond will cost you 250,000 rand more on your home loan. That's 52% of that you're going to pay on 52% on your bond, and that's for a bond of 800 or a 1.5 million rand bond. 52% for 2%, and that, in my view, is really shocking.
That is extremely shocking. So, Doctor, the next question, and then we take Ulokuzano Khatebe from Western Cape. Uti, why? This is the question that I've also been asking. Why don't banks approach their customers whenever they're anticipating or there's been an announcement on the interest rates hike? Why don't you then be the ones that are proactive and say, customers, you guys are in good standing. Here you go, come in. We've already even done a pre-calculation of what you can actually qualify for. Why aren't you guys doing that? Because you've got the information.
Yes, yeah. No, singayenza lonto masilungisele ndawo ne. I-decision yonyusa i-interest rates okanye izithobe yenziwa i-South African Reserve Bank.
Yes.
Not i-commercial bank.
Yes.
Siyabona ezindabeni qho. Yabona ngoku siyaqikelela ngoku kuba ngoNovember sizonyuka interest rates kwakhona. Siqikelela into yobana siyaqikelela kuba izoba i-50 basis points.
So are you going to approach your customers? Are you going to send them that communicate to say, listen, there's an interest rate that is coming up?
Yeah.
Because basically that's what your customers are saying.
Yes.
Please, can you just inform us
Yes.
about the changes,
Yes.
you know, and what we can do to
Yes.
acclimatize to those changes?
Yeah,
Okay, guys, nyezwa-ke udoctor uyasho, udoctor I know is very efficient. Uyathatha ama-notes, uzobuyela emuva, uthatha i-feedback, uzobuyela kunini. All right, let's go to our callers again. Babu Khatebe, Ekelden, Western Cape. Sakwamukela tata. Kunjani baba? Ngiyaphila baba. Go ahead ngombuzo noma ngombono wakho.
Umbuzo wami is very simple.
Yebo
If
baba.
you go to your bank and renegotiate,
Yes.
doesn't it affect the period of payment?
Okay. Okay.
Meaning,
A period of payment. Okay, Babu Khatebe, is that all you want to ask?
no, that's all, man.
Okay, Baba, siyabonga kakhulu. All right, Mr. Deval, he's asking, he wants to know, if you go and renegotiate your interest, does it then affect your repayment period of your loan?
No, the good news is that remember that you already have either a 20-year or a 30-year home loan repayment rate. So if you renegotiate your interest rate, it just means that your interest rate drops. And a further calculation that I've done, that if you stick with a higher interest rate, a repayment, let's say you pay 500 Rand a month, maybe, let's start again. Maybe you reduce your home loan installment with 500 Rand a month because your interest rate has gone down now.
Yes.
And you continue to pay that extra 500 Rand into your home loan because you are now used to this home loan. Then the amazing saving that you have is that you can pay off your bond not in 20 years, but maybe in 15 years or 14 years.
Yes.
And you can save maybe 4 or 5 years of home loan repayment. Then you save thousands and thousands of rands. I did this calculation on an 800,000 Rand bond, and we dropped 2% on interest rate, and you keep that interest rate, again, you save 250,000 Rand because you continue to pay the same interest rate, but your bond term comes down from 20 years to about 14 or 15 years. That's amazing savings. So you can also be clever about your home loan. Always try to pay off your home loan as fast as possible because that is the maximum savings that you can get. So your home loan won't be extended for a longer period. You actually, if you pay clever, you can reduce your home loan term and save thousands of rands.
Thank you for that, for that note there, Mr. Deval, because I think we had a show around how you can actually pay your bond faster, and a lot of consumers were also saying, Doctor, they were not aware of this option because the bank just wants to keep the 20-year period going so they can collect interest. All right, so I hope but Doctor, if you want to say something, I want to quickly take another caller, Unongazbini ePretoria. Nongazbini, sakwamukela ohlelweni umbuzo noma umbono?
Thank you, Sisi.
Kunjani sis?
Kunjani, Sisi?
Ngiyaphila sisi wami. Ungakhuluma sana sami ungasibuza umbuzo noma ubeka umbono?
No, it's a question.
Okay, go ahead, Nongazbini.
Yeah, I'd like to ask on the card that I can hear that you can approach any bank, even if the guy is coming from FNB. I'm fine with that. Then my other question is, when it comes to the negotiations, do I have to put my own interest rate that I'm comfortable to pay, or it will depend on the bank only? Since let's say maybe now I'm paying 11.5%, so I'd like to keep my bond on 9%. Is it acceptable, or still it depends on your credit profile?
Okay, Sis Nongazbini, thank you so much. Ngicela ulalele lapho on your television. We'll be answering that and many other questions as we wrap the show shortly after this break. Don't go anywhere. Well, it is our final segment. Sisakhuluma about how consumers can renegotiate or review lawa interest rates kuma home loans wenu, as well as other things. But again, namhlanje besigcile kuwona ma home loans. Gqirha, uyabuza usisi Ungazbini ePretoria, do you suggest a rate? Do you go to a bank and say, yay, I want to pay 1%, ngizwile repo rate yehlile, interest rate inyukile okanye njani. Can I pay 1%, or does the bank actually determine ukuthi this is how much you can pay? Very quickly, Doc.
Ibhanki yedeterminayo.
Okay.
Sijonga iprime ibasis yethu 9.75 njengoba sekuchiwo. Angeke uvele uzene rate yakho ebhankini uthi ndifuna ubhatala 5%. Ayisebenzi kanjalo lento.
Okay. All right, Mr. Deval, these are now quick answers, quick one-word answers and so forth. So I just want to know, somebody was inquiring, if I move from bank to bank, I think you mentioned this not in relation to this question, but if I want to move my current home loan to another bank because they've given me a better interest rate, does that then affect me, my interest rate or anything by moving from the other creditor to the other creditor because I got better services there? Is my credit score affected in any way and so forth?
Doesn't.
Remember that for any other bank to do a home loan application for you, they are going to do a credit check on your credit score and your ID and your profile.
Yes.
So number one, yes, it will be impacted. But remember that if you only apply once or twice a year for credit, it really doesn't impact. It's only when you start doing 5 or 6 or 7 applications one after the other. So my recommendation would first to go to a neutral platform, not to a particular bank, but go to a neutral platform. I know of a platform, but I'm not going to mention their name because we're not doing advertising now.
Please
but there's a platform where you can go and you can go online and you can check your credit score once, and then you can link up your bank statements, and the software will analyze your bank statements to analyze how much you can actually afford for a home loan. Okay. So that's one calculation where you can do, and that covers the entire application. Now, once you are comfortable that you are in a stronger position, now you can go to 2 other banks. But you first go to your own bank because you want to stay with your bank. It costs you money to switch your bank. You've got to pay a cancellation fee for your bank. You've also got to be careful that your own bank doesn't charge you a 90-day early termination fee, so be very careful of that. And so there's a cancellation fee, a 90-day early termination fee, and then your new bond will be registered and the attorney will charge you. For example, on a R1 million bond, the attorney's fees will be about 30,000 Rand. So or 25,000 Rand, I think. So be careful when you switch that you make sure that the savings that you will apply will outweigh the costs of the switching of the bond.
Okay.
First go to your own bank and speak to your own bank. But then your credit score will definitely be impacted.
Okay.
But don't go and apply to 15 different places. Go and apply to 2 places, and definitely it won't impact your credit score so negatively,
Okay.
because when you don't apply for credit for the next 6 months, and then your credit score stays stable.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Duval. Doctor, very quickly, does then a reduced rate remain even after the repo rate has come down, or it gets adjusted accordingly?
Xa kwi-variable rate iyachintsha all the time, either up or down.
Injani variable rate?
Ile tshintshayo
Okay.
every time.
Okay.
Engatshintshiyo yi-fixed, but i-variable rate iyatshintsha. Xa kuthiwa ziyenyuka izawunyuka. Xa
Okay.
kuthiwa iyehla izawuhla. I-variable itshintsha all the time.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Duval, moving your home loan to another institution, does it mean restarting the bond registration process, sir? Very quickly.
It does start the new process from scratch. So you've got to allow time. It will take about 2-3 months to switch your bond. Plus consider your penalty fee if you don't just wait that time out. But again, try to pay your home loan still in the same time. Don't go and stretch the home loan to 20 years again. Pay it off in the same time that you have left, maybe 16 years, because otherwise it can cost you very expensive if you extend that bond over 20 years now. That's my advice.
All right. Gqirha, can an ordinary person conduct yonke le exercise of negotiating, or we're going to need a Mr. Duval to go and negotiate on our behalf? Can Alicia just go online
just come.
and do whatever?
Yeah.
And also, please explain, Lento Withethu, ba, if you add 100 rand more on your bond,
Yes.
what happens, Gqirha? Go
Yeah.
ahead, usivalele
Yeah.
uhlelo.
Okay. So ungazenzela awunidi gqwetha ukuthi ma utshintshe.
Uyonegotiate.
Yeah, ungazizela nje ibhenki izakunceda.
Okay.
Kubalekile ukuthi ubhatale extra 100 rand or 50 rands more. Iyayinceda into yobana i-period yakho ithobe from 20 years to 12 years. Usave ixesha, i-repayment period ne-interest lesitshajayo. Ungagooglisha le nto ikhona sasiyenzile ngo-2017 article ikhona pha online.
Okay.
Ujonge extra 100 rand izawuvela ivele nje kwi-internet.
Okay.
La information siyenzile sinayo ne-calculation pha siyakubonisa kakuhle ne-table yonke into ikhona.
All right. All right. And then, Mr. Duval, very quickly, would you advise that this exercise is worth it for consumers, particularly whether they particularly cash-strapped or are in good financial standing? Would you then advise them to just go to their banks and see if they can renegotiate or review the interest rates?
Indeed, but first determine if your rate has got 1 or 2% on top of prime, because if you're already on prime, I think you've got a good deal.
Okay.
So then you most likely will not get a reduction, but if you're paying too much on your home loan, don't stay there for 20 years.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. That was Mr. Mayor Duval, who's a conveyancing specialist. Thank you so much, sir. He was coming to us from our Cape Town studios, and here in studio, bengi not Dr. Gise nayo, Dr. Matikizela, Dr. Simpiwe Matikizela, ovela FNB Home Loans Gqirha. Inkosi kakhulu for all the information. Bantu bakithi emakhaya, thank you so much for all your participation namhlanje, your calls and everything. Yo, hayi cha nisenze busy namhlanje. Thank you so much. Do join us next week for another live consumer affairs discussion. From me, Umajali, my crew and my team, nisale kahle.
Mnganwa